session, the platform formerly known as Plato. I'm Andrew Kappel. I'm with Edmentum and a customer success manager that works with Minnesota Literacy. So we're going to run through a couple of things today as we click forward. We do have our team here, the statewide digital and distance learning team. For support, their email address is right on there. I don't know, Elizabeth or Katey, if you wanted to say anything further.
You've already seen me today, so but I'll go ahead and drop that email in the chat.
Perfect. Thanks for doing that. So if you need any just additional support there, or if you don't have your login information for any of the Edmentum platforms, go ahead. You can contact and reach out to them. They'll get you set. All right, so just a reminder of our session objectives. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the different offerings that you have available to you. Starting with Edmentum courseware, we'll go ahead and look briefly at custom courses and then flex assignments, an exact path, and Apex courses, which are all available to you. And then applying all of those pieces back with a quick overview after that, looking at some specific scenarios of how we can actually use these to impact our learners and really apply it some different scenarios. And then if when we get to that point, I'm thinking we'll have enough time too. If there's somebody that you're thinking of that maybe is you're currently working with and you're going, how could I use these platforms with that particular learner? We might have some time to apply that forward. So we'll just scrub any names out or identifying information and look at those when we get there. So with no further ado, we will jump in. As we do, I'll be monitoring the chat. The team will be monitoring the chat for questions, and then we'll have some questions as well as we go through some time for that. I'll stop and feel free to come off mute or put those questions in the chat, and we'll get to them. So first thing we're going to start with is exact path. What is exact path? Exact path is a twofold program. It has an adaptive diagnostic assessment in it in the areas of reading and math. So as you have a learner that comes to you, if you don't have any prior data and you want to get some data on where their learning levels are, we can give this adaptive diagnostic assessment and it will show us on a K-12 spectrum where that learner is. Once they've completed that diagnostic assessment, the second portion of Exact Path is it creates an individualized learning path. That individualized learning path is based on the results of that diagnostic assessment, and that is what Exact Path is. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. And one of the ways that we've also tailored this for ABE is thinking about some of the test results you may have already had. So thinking about your TABE results, I know is one that we've talked about in the past, and using that to manually adjust a learning path for a student if they don't have the time or whatever circumstances may be to take the diagnostic assessment that's in Exact Path. So with that, we really look at four areas when we're looking at Exact Path. That first one is that diagnose, right? We figure out what does that learner need, and then we go into number two is an instruct. And the platform lays out the learning path. So really, it's not a set it and forget it, but it does get them started. And what it gives them the opportunity to do is to go in and learn the skills that they need and then assess on those skills to see if they're ready to move next to the next skill. I'll go into a little bit more depth on that in just a few minutes here. Number three then is in addition to the instruction that they're getting that's targeting their unique needs, you also have a repository of curriculum that you could assign out or use to remediate if needed within there. So we can target unique learner skills through that piece. And then at a midpoint, so maybe they take that diagnostic in the fall or the summer, and you say, you know what, we've made some progress. Let's see let's take that diagnostic again, and we can compare those diagnostics against each other and see the growth that that learner is experiencing through the platform. So that's really where for analyze comes in, and then with that diagnostic second take or third take, however many takes you have on it, we really start that cyclical approach over again. Now, I'm going to skip that one and jump right to this one. So after a diagnostic is taken, they get into their learning path, and it starts with the lowest skill identified through that diagnostic. So that lowest skill, maybe you have a learner take it, and it identifies a skill gap at the ninth grade level for an adult learner. It would drop them down to that ninth grade level. Let's use ELA and the theme, the theme being the skill that we're looking at the ninth grade level. They would start down here on bottom and get a lesson. So walking them through what that skill is, that initial acquisition of knowledge, and really taking them through with some built-in chance for them to get hands-on, some practice in there along the way through that lesson. And when they complete that, then they will have a formal practice. That formal practice is going to have a series of questions for them with opportunities to get it wrong with some reteaching or get it right the first time. And when they complete the practice, they will then have a progress check. So those progress checks are really a 5 question quick check for understanding. Are they getting this skill and ready to move forward? Or do they maybe need some additional remediation or another view of that content, maybe with an alternative lesson on the same skill? To move forward, they need 80% correct on those progress checks, so 4 out of 5. If they miss it, they may get a retake of the same content just to pick up a piece that they missed, or they may get a retake of that same skill with a different alternate lesson, depending on how they scored in that progress check. If they fail that twice, they will actually automatically get a remediation skill. So we call that a building block in ExactPath. That remediation is a prerequisite skill. It may be from the same grade level strand, so ninth grade to ninth grade, or it may be a ninth grade moving into an eighth grade skill. And it gives them an opportunity to learn that skill, pass the progress check, then return to that original skill and hopefully pass that on that next attempt. They can also go backwards from a building block to get an additional building block or a retake on that building block, but the system will not allow them to go back more than 2 skills. If they're not experiencing success after 2 times of system remediating, a red X will appear on the teacher side of things, not the learner side, and it will just signify to you, we need you to step in because you need your expertise in working with the student around that skill. And maybe pulling something from a repository or some additional pieces that the platform provides, or maybe something that you have and that you've used with success in the past. So that is the learning path. With that, I'm going to jump into the platform. So if you have your login and your account, feel free to follow along. If you and also feel free to just watch. There's no necessarily need that you need to follow along, but I know sometimes that tactile learning is helpful. Before I jump in further, though, I am going to stop and pause and ask if there are any questions. Okay. When you initially log in, you're going to land on this screen that I'm on right here. This is called Edmentum Sensei. You're going to land on this screen for both ExactPath and for our courseware platform. Up top on this black bar, you'll see that there are different options there. We're going to go to ExactPath, and it will take us right into our course. When you get in here, you're going to land in My Classes, and it will list your class out there and any work that's been done for the past several days. And it'll show you your students that may need support or possibly need some recognition because they're moving forward. And you can track that there for the last 30 days, this week and last week, or just this week, depending on how far back you want to look. The focus area that we're going to highlight today is really just jumping into the content area. So up top, you have math and reading. Math is where we're going to look, and I'm going to really jump into the learning path and current activities and knowledge map, and then also diagnostics down here. So this is where you schedule your diagnostic. You follow your tab after we've created students. We can schedule them out. Let me just we'll go K2 class. If I wanted to schedule one of them, I just select them and schedule and set a time there. You don't need to set an end time, so they're good to go. Your just so you know in your reference, the diagnostic windows for your program are quarterly. I believe they start July or August 1st. I can't remember off the top of my head. And every 3 months, then a new window starts. So just know that you're going to see some different testing windows there. It's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to reset anything if you have a learner take that diagnostic a week before the window ends. We can roll that progress over into the next window. But after their diagnostic is complete, and one of the common questions I get with that diagnostic is, how long does it take? Which is a kind of a loaded question, but kind of not. On average, for adult learners that you're going to see who are really probably have more majority of the skills in their upper secondary in the K-12 continuum, you're going to see about a 50-minute on average test, but some will take longer, obviously, if they're really slowing down and honing in on it. Some will go faster. But you do want to see them take their time on the test, just like any other test that you have, to give it a fair to get a fair assessment of where they're at. Once they've completed that diagnostic, then, as I mentioned in the overview slides, that learning path is going to automatically create for them, and you'll be able to monitor that either through current activities or the knowledge map. I'm going to start actually with the knowledge map because I think that's going to give us a really nice view of where things are at. So this is obviously you most likely won't be this low in the skills. I'm in a K2 classroom just because I have some really nice data here that shows a number of different learners in there and where they're at. So first thing you'll probably notice are the tiles across the screen, and they're all over the place and they're different colors, and you're seeing some different symbols. The nice thing about this screen, and this is the knowledge map, is in the top left-hand corner, you're going to see a status legend that's going to show you exactly what each one of those mean. Now I see we don't have any building blocks on this screen right now, and I don't know that I have any current learners that are in any of those building blocks right now. So, but we do see some other symbols there. So blue always represents where the learner is currently working. So you can quickly see I've got two right here that are both working on count to 100. I could group those students, maybe pull them, work on some things together if I wanted to in person, or if they were both there at the same time. I also see the green trophies, which means we're seeing some success along the way. I see then these gray and green slashes. The green means that this learner assessed above. So the diagnostic said they were good to go on those skills, which really indicates nicely if we look at across the way at February Love. You'll notice that not every skill in a grade level needs to be completed because it's just this strand that the diagnostic identified needed to be complete before we bump them to the next couple skills and then the next grade level. So it's not your lowest score was in ninth grade. You need to complete all the ninth grade skills. It's just that one specific strand potentially that they need to some work in, and then it will accelerate. The other piece that I'll highlight there, and I've heard this as a story come out from a number of different people, is, we had a learner that was struggling in just one little area. We didn't realize it was just this one skill strand that was a struggle. Once we gave the diagnostic, it took them back in that one area and brought them 2 grades behind where we thought they were. They accelerated that skill, and then all of a sudden the learner took off. So there's some really powerful pieces in identifying those skills that are missing if it's not a full grade band of skills, but just one particular skill. So super, super helpful there. The gray slashes here mean that I, as a teacher, set the learning path and I place the student above. The diagnostic didn't. I did. And so you can see that there's a way to manually adjust that learning path I'll jump into in just a second here. And then the red X means that the student did not pass that skill. They did not pass the retakes or the building blocks, and they moved forward. This particular student experienced success on the next skill, which is great. But I still need to go back and I can click on that. I can see the different progress checks, so I can see how well they did there. I can see if there's a skill attempt and how they did on their practice and what those lessons were. I can also click in and get a couple additional resources. I'm going to actually click up to a high school class for you so you can see that there are, let me go up here, some more, this one's not going to give it to me. Close there. There are some higher level resources available, and I don't know that I'm going to get these here. I'm just going to have my standards coverage for those ones because they're still attempting it. But down in the K2 classroom, you're going to see, especially in this kindergarten one, some more worksheets where up here you're going to start to see some additional resources that are lessons and practice. And there's some videos, lesson ideas in there to support your scaffolding for students. So some really great resources there. That is the knowledge map. Before I click into the individual piece to how to adjust this, I want to show you the current activities. So that was the you can click over to it right here on screen, or you can go ahead and just, if you're on math, you can click on either of those tiles there. What's nice about this screen is where the knowledge map is showing you across the board where students are in that continuum, and you might have learners in a ninth grade skill and a 12th grade skill, and scrolling across that knowledge map can be a lot. This shows you exactly what skill all of your learners are working on. Takes out the data wall look of the knowledge map and gives it to you in one place. Shows you what they've just worked on and what's to come. So you can see it all in one nice place to look at. I'm going to click back over the knowledge map. And one thing I did forget to show you that I want you to see is a resource here in the top of the knowledge map called the K-12 Learning Progression Report. So you can see exactly this progression up top across the K-12 continuum. I think this just goes through fifth grade, and which skills are prerequisite, which skills are in a domain. By clicking on this is printable. So if you had identified, maybe TABE scores came in and you're not using that diagnostic, and I'm looking for create and solve one variable exponential equations and inequalities. I can set that learning path to 13, that skill 13 in the ninth grade, if that's the data that I have. So this is a very valuable resource in looking at the learning path and setting it manually if needed. With that, I am going to jump back over here and go in and show you how to adjust that learning path. So either from the knowledge map or current activities, I can click on any student's name. I'm going to go ahead and click on February Love, since we used that as an example before. When I click on their name, this is their individual sheet that shows their learning path, the diagnostic, and standards mastery we haven't gone into yet, but I don't know that we'll touch on it too much today. I'll just show you where it is. And this is going to show you any trophies they've earned. And if we click over to skills, when you click on their name under learning path, you'll be able to see the skills and their learning path in a different way here by grade level. And then you have edit learning path placement. You can adjust this out to what you need it to be. When you do change the grade level, you do need to select a skill. That's where that learning path progression report that I showed you comes in very helpful. And you'll also notice that as I adjust this, automatically on my domain order, the lowest skill is the one that's going to come first in the progression. So students will see the lowest one automatically. Um, and then when you're done, just go ahead and save that or cancel it. I'm going to cancel just because this isn't a demo account. I'm going to use it again. Either way, though, it will say, are you sure you want to do this? So yes or no on those questions in editing the learning path. So, okay, that is a very quick, brief overview of Exact Path. Are there questions about Exact Path? I'm going to give you a quick assess and teach glimpse, which is that curriculum repository here, and then we're going to jump into courseware. So pause for a second. Yeah, how do you get a student into exact path is a question that just came in the chat. Um, so with your Edmentum account, if you don't have one, please reach out to MN support to get that set. You'll have access to an administration center where you can create a user. Um, and with that user, then you can load them into ExactPath when you create that user. Um, you'll be able to, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing there. From ExactPath, I'm going to back out here just a second. From my classes, you'll be able to manage your classes and either create a class or edit an existing class and add students in there. You'll see the students down here. So that's a brief overview. One thing to know about ExactPath and courseware for that exact is the help center there is also very intuitive. So if that was very fast is how to get in there, learn and support ExactPath is fantastic. So, yep. Yeah, so I see that you can create users. Once that user is created, as long as they're in your location and we're added to your location under manage classes, create a class and then use that pencil. You should be able to see the student when you go into the edit of the classroom and move that student in there. Sometimes this needs to be checked too. So select students, and then just this is where your location of your ABE account would exist. Make sure it's set to your ABE account, and then start all students. It should be 12th grade for ABE is what we've determined. So find them there or search for them. They should show up, and go ahead and add them and save that. If that's not working, let's connect after um, this session or shoot me an email and we can connect and get you taken care of there. Yeah, so I see the other question in there. If this would work for GED students, align closely enough to some of the subjects. I'm going to pause on that question answer actually, because one of our scenarios at the end slightly addresses that. Yeah, yes is the short answer. These are going to be the K-12 continuum standards for the state of Minnesota, which obviously are what we need to be successful in the GED. And we have some GED courses available when I highlight courseware here. So I'll come back to that question slightly, and there's a quick answer too. So awesome. Thank you for the questions in the chat. I very much appreciate that. All right, it looks like we're pretty much set to go. I'm going to jump over to courseware now. Um, well, hold on. I'm going to hold that thought. I did want to show you just on the top bar here while we're in ExactPath, you have Assess and Teach. And in Assess and Teach, there are priority skill lessons. You can also search for a specific skill in that K-12 continuum if you know what you're looking for, specific domain. Um, and then go ahead and search and it will pull up content for you. So if you have a specific area you're working on with a learner, or you have something really that you're not wanting them to do that skill progression through the learning path, you're looking for something pinpointed in the moment, this is a really good resource to pull these either to preview it or you can assign it out to them to take care of when they log into their Edmentum account. So that's Assess and Teach priority skill lessons inside of ExactPath. All right, next up, we're back to courseware. So, courseware, if you are not familiar with it, what courseware is it is they're full courses. They're semester-based courses. I know that you're semester-based, maybe a loose term for some of our programs, but that is the approximate time for students there. So, if you're thinking in the high school setting, semester-based, or maybe your programs run in a semester-based too. That is what this is, and they're full courses of content for students that are aligned. And then also to the core areas, we have HiSET, we have TABE, we have CTE courses in there, GED courses, you name it. So these are really those full courses when you need that full set of content for a student that we would assign that course. We can customize these though, and we can eliminate content, or we can pull one piece as well through a flex assignment if needed. So the general overview of a courseware course is There's an orientation the first time through for a learner. I do recommend they take that. It's a 13 slides, and there's a couple of videos and tips and tricks in there that are very helpful. Then the syllabus for the course, our number of units. There's some course practice depending on the course, and then an end of semester test. So the nice thing about these courses, though, is all of our courses have a pre-test. That is, if we go over to this right-hand side under the unit, that is, if your learner is showing that they are understanding that topic, it will opt them out of it. So they don't have to complete everything. And we know that's the case that many times our learners come to us with experience in an area, or maybe they've taken a course and they just need to fill in some of those gaps. That pretest is really, really nice to help out with that. There are online discussions there. I know that you don't have necessarily a cohort of students going through the courses at the same time. So I'd use those with a grain of salt. Maybe use it as a discussion, a one-on-one talk through to solidify some content. However you want to use those best, I would give that autonomy and recommendation to think about how you want to use those. Following those two pieces, you see the topics there with a tutorial, which is the direct instruction or the acquisition of knowledge portion, followed by a mastery test, which is that check for understanding. And then there are some, oh, I'm scrolling the wrong way there. There's some different pieces built in, especially to the math classes that are practice or clarifying big ideas. And then unit activity, which is a project-based portion. And then you have a practice and a post-test per unit. Most courses have about 3 to 5 units. You'll see this one actually has six, and then that end of semester test at the end. Yeah, I think I see that question in there, Laura. Let's connect maybe at the end on that question. I want to clarify some things for you. I'm going to actually jump live in the platform and show you this, but there are some student tools and resources in there that make the courses really friendly. So when I log back in and I click over, I'm actually in ExactPath. They're on the same platform. So you'll just go to courseware and then find, you'll probably only see your program there. So go ahead and click into your ABE program. I got logged out. Let's get logged back in real quick. All right, once we're in there, you'll have your course sections and you'll be able to see where your learners are at. So we're under my course sections. I'm going to use my econ class as I usually do for my demo, and we'll click into that. Couple of things that you'll see here right away is where my students are at, my different students listed in the class, some grading metrics, some things are locked, some things are teacher scored. I'm going to come to those in just a second. What I want to do is jump into the curriculum real quick so you can see what this looks like. So following that same outline that we looked at before, we have our orientation, our syllabus, our units, and every unit has a pre-test, the discussion, the topics, unit activity post-test. And that follows that progression all the way till we're down to the end where we have our post-test or our end of semester test for the course. The nice thing about these courses is if you put a start date and an end date in there, it will auto scale due dates to create that sense of urgency, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word, but to give your learners that sense of finishing something within, a set parameter of time. So it will space it out. Whether you put in there 2 weeks, which is a little extreme, like giving it about a semester long course, or you put in, hey, we're doing one course at a time. Let's set it for 7 weeks or 8 weeks, whatever that may be determined in your program. It will auto scale those for you. All right, I'm going to jump in and take a look at what these look like then. So we have a tutorial, and then we're going to show the student supports there. Uh-oh, it's being a little goofy on me here. Let's try this. There we go. So when we get in there, it's going to give us that brief overview of what we're looking at: economic systems, an objective, just like you'd see in a classroom, table of contents of what's in the content, a quick introduction video. These are usually between a minute and two. They're pretty short. And then it jumps into the content with a warm-up question. It will give a sample answer because these tutorials are practice. They're really just go through it. There's some stop checks for understanding, stop and warm up to get to background to activate some background knowledge and schema. They do have to answer it, but then they can go by. We're in a teacher view, so we get to click right by. And then we see our text. Infographics paired with a small amount of text that's right on screen for them. Let me see here if I can find, yes, there we go. Any academic language or vocab is hyperlinked, so they can click right on that and see that right there in an overlay. Off to the left-hand side, there's some really valuable tools. The first tool that we're going to see there is just your table of contents. They can click to the different pieces they need to. They do have to go in order sequentially to unlock these. They'll be grayed out at first and then turn red as they progress. But once they're red, they can click to where they need to go there. The second one is all of our core courses and rapidly expanding our CTE courses have what are called guided notes. These are notes for the entire tutorial or content of the topic they're looking at. It's a fillable PDF. It starts with your glossary, and then it really covers the entirety of the lesson to not only not necessarily slow them down, but to hone them in on what the essential learning is and make sure that they're capturing that in there. So guided notes are a really, really nice tool and scaffolds for support. And as I'd said, they are available for your core content and rapidly expanding into the other areas. So if you're in non-core content, you may see the guided notes as well. There's a dictionary there if they need to look something up. And then our reading tools. So not only text to speech, but translation is here. And if you are here with us and you've seen courseware in the past, this underwent a rapid change this summer for an improvement. So we have our text to speech where we can play the content. It'll read it out loud.
Efficient allocation of resources and
And that one, I have Joanna who's reading it in, it sounds like British or accent to me there, but we can change that. And then our translation feature is the part that really went an overhaul this summer. If we click, we want Spanish, it will change the text for them right on screen. So it's not copy paste like it used to be. It is just a change of that. And your major languages as well are text to speech, so I can
eficiente asignación de recursos asegura el buen funcionamiento de un.
So that a great feature, and you can reset that. Our tests as well are translatable, just to look a little bit different. I'll click into one to show you that. Calculator and then highlighter tools over there. So that is the left-hand side is a huge tool that's helpful to use and run through with your learners. Okay. Let's go back here. So the other piece in here is there are some different ways to progress through the content. You may want to open up a unit at a time, or you might want to lock down different features. When you come into that curriculum bar, there's a curriculum settings bar. If you click it, you can lock down all pre-tests. Maybe you don't want to take that exemptive pre-test unless they're with you, just as a check to make sure that they're taking it or whatnot. I don't know, whatever your policy is at your program, I would follow that. You could lock post tests, end of semester tests, mastery tests, anything teacher graded and discussion. I'm gonna hone in on these mastery tests for just a second. So we looked at our tutorial. If you lock down your mastery test, they won't have access to it until they go through the tutorial. And the platform is actually designed that once they go through the tutorial in completion, the mastery test will auto unlock for them. So if you do want to lock those down initially, it will force them through the content that they need to see. If they take a pretest, exempt them from content, but then they wouldn't have to take that particular topic. They would have to go through the tutorial and then the mastery test, get 5 questions. 4 out of 5 correct on a mastery test means you've got it. You're good to go forward. If you score less than 4 out of 5, this will lock back down and they can go back through the tutorial to auto unlock it again. So there's some nice checks in there for them along the way. You'll see anytime a mastery test is taken on the teacher side. So you can see if, maybe we've taken it 2 or 3 times and we need to check in and just see what's going on there. I'll click into a mastery test real quick, just so you can see what the test side of things look like. Does look a little bit different. We're in a teacher view, but these are fully printable if you want to print a test out or an answer key. And then there's also under tools is where our text to speech and text translation exists. So it just looks a little different. But it's right there. And you'll see different types of questions here. Select the correct one, multiple choice, select all that apply, find the point on a graph, select the correct sentence in a passage of text, etc. These are all teacher graded pieces though. These are all computer scored. The teacher graded pieces are your discussions, and then your unit activity is also a teacher scored item. So your unit activity is really kind of the meat and potatoes, I say, of seeing what's been acquired and what's been learned throughout the unit. These unit activities look very similar to jumping into a tutorial, but you'll see after the introduction, they get a scoring rubric that shows them what's expected. And then it's going to ask them to really move up, like thinking about depth of knowledge or Bloom's taxonomy, into more of that apply or create, analyze. So this one asks them to go out and gather some data and then a series of questions to analyze that data. So this is really going to be applying that learning through higher level thinking in the unit activities. And as I mentioned, some of them are create as well. So those are a teacher scored piece, and then your post test again, computer scored, and that's the piece for the unit. Outside of locking up here in this curriculum settings bar, these 3 dots will allow you to lock, unlock, hide or unhide, and omit or include activities. So you may say, you know what, I looked at the econ course, and when I look across my units, unit 1 makes sense to me, unit 3 doesn't. You might come in here and omit all and hide all. You can lock all too if you want, but omitting it, we'll take it out of the grade book, hidden out of student view, and locked. They won't have any access. Now this course just becomes unit 1, 2, and 4. And if I only want them to work one at a time, I could just lock everything in these units. So now the only access my learner has is to unit 1 and the pieces I have left unlocked for them. So some really nice ways to hone in on how you want them to progress through things, what's available, what's not available. The other piece here is these 6 dots over here allow you to drag and drop content into different areas as well. So if you want to move things around, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to go ahead and cancel out my changes. We're going to go back to the home screen of the course. All right. The other piece here is a grade book. It is a very simple grade book. Most everything will transfer in here if you're looking at it in the platform. If you need to change a grade, you can come in here, click on the grade, and quickly change that. I'm lowering this grade, which probably won't happen too often, it's my guess. But that when you change a grade, you get that gray circle there. Otherwise, it'll auto score things for you. The unit activity and discussion, you can put the grade in here, or you can put it directly in from my active tasks, which I'm going to show you in just a second. So really, really nice, easy grade book to use. In here, there are some reports that are very helpful as well. Okay. The last thing I'm going to show you here is just what all this means and some additional settings. So off to the left-hand side of a student's name, as soon as I check one, you'll notice on the bottom of my screen, you see some different pieces pop up where I could edit start and end date. So if I have a course that maybe it's econ and I have a student that starts with me in July and I have another one that starts in November, I can checkbox them, edit start and end dates, and I can differentiate those for my learners so that that auto scaling and due dates is customized to what they need. So that's a really nice piece there without creating a new class. Um, you can turn off those target dates if you don't want those dates shown for a student, and then apply past progress. If they've been in this course before and it's a new section, you can pull that forward. And then when they're all done, complete them. Right? That will help on the student side. The tile will fall off of their side, so they're no longer seeing it, and it will wrap things up. Data is always saved, so you don't ever have to worry about data going away if you complete a student. And then finally, the three different grades. Know that there's a little question mark right next to them. So if you're ever going, what do those mean? You can always hover over them. So your on-target grade is a very traditional grade. If you're using due dates, that's going to factor in any missing work. Your current grade does not factor in any missing work. So this is just showing the quality of work or the level of work that they're doing. And then your course grade starts at 0 at the beginning, and that's a bucket that fills up towards 100 as students complete work. And then your completed activities piece, that bar graph fills up, and the black slash represents where they should be based on the start and end date in the course. Similar to when we clicked on this curriculum button for all students for locking and unlocking, if you need to unlock something or adjust something for one student, you just click on their name. You get a very similar screen to what we looked at before. You can click on any of the content here as well to see it. And you can also see students' individual answers. So if you want to look at how we did on a mastery test for this from this student, we can click in there and we can see their answer, the answer key, and have it unanswered if we want to conference with them through that to look at it. Okay, that's my brief overview of courseware. How are we doing? I see there were some questions. It looks like there's answers for the most part in there. Thank you, Elizabeth. Any other questions as I move into looking at a little customization and flex assignments? Perfect. All right. So from courseware, and I'm going to get out of here and go back to my main screen. When I get logged into my courseware program, there's a few things that you can do with this menu button in the top left-hand corner. When I click on that, you have three options, really. I'm not going to go into all three, but you have your course catalog here. You can go explore any of the content available to you in the course catalog, search by title if you'd like to, and look at what it entails before creating a class. So that's very, very helpful there. Reports, you can pull different reports in here that will show you where your students are at. You have your courseware audit report here. That one is often used to find some contact hours or logging of hours at the end of the month. So I know that we have some cheat sheets out there on that as well, but that's a common question is where do I get to that again? It's in that menu button in this top left-hand corner. You can pull that report. And then custom course builder. Let's say that I'm just going to pick one of these that I've been doing. Let's say that I want to combine something or I want to change some things around. I can come in here and find any of the courses that we have and that we offer. I'm going to just go language arts, even though I got a titled health course. And we're going to go English 10, and maybe I need this unit 2 to come into this course. We're going to get rid of some of these pieces. We can remove that. We can actually open that unit 2 and get rid of certain pieces. So maybe it was, let's say, that econ course we were just in and we don't like unit 2. We can actually customize that out. Just so that in the future, when we create another section, we have access to that. I will give a caveat because this is a shared account across the state. One thing, if you make custom courses in the title, I would suggest that you put the name of your program and location so that it would be, I'm going to pick on Alexandria for a minute, Alexandria Health. So we know it belongs to Alex and that it's their custom course. Because if we all just call it health, we're we're gonna have some confusion. So make sure you add your program there. The other piece that I'll show you here is you can make a dynamic end of semester test if you want to based on the content you bring in there. So if you brought in content from multiple courses, you can dynamically make that test. And you can also add in a pre-test if you were to bring content, let's say, we'll just say from unit 2 over here, we want to bring this topic in there, we can make that pre-test to exempt out of that unit as well. So you have the option to fully customize the way that you want it, as well as on the right-hand side, bring in some additional pieces that maybe you're using in your programs that are outside the platform. So you could add a document or a Dropbox, which is a downloadable assignment. Learner can do it and then upload it back to you. Discussion, if you have your own prompts that you want them to respond to, and a web link if there's something valuable that you want them to go out and complete online. So that is custom course builder and courseware. The piece here that I will highlight again. I said it exact path, but our help center is absolutely fantastic. If you need a full overview of courseware and how to utilize it, that second one down, Courseware Getting Started Resources, has a full webinar from both the administrator and the teacher view that will take you through the platform. It's super helpful. You also in Learn and Support have access to full guided notes. Let's get it to load here. Once it's loaded, there's an orange box that says instructor resources. We'll click on that. It's going to ask us to drill down by state. So it's going to go Minnesota, and then you'll have your content areas there. You can drill in. Let's say we're looking at ELA and we were looking at maybe let's go English 11. That one sounds good. Just make sure the title of the course that you're looking for matches completely the title there. We do have some duplicate titles from our Apex platform that are listed there that you may or may not have access to. But in here, you have your guided notes, both a blank version and a key. So if you want to know what that guided note says, that's the path to it. It is Help Center, Learn and Support, Instructor Resources, Minnesota, and then drill into your content area, and those are available for you there. Okay. All right, I'm watching the chat. I don't see any questions, but I'm going to pause for just a second to give you a chance to put any questions in there if you do have them about courseware. And while we do that, I am going to fly by some slides I already covered for us and bring us into flex assignments because I'm watching our timer there and we're getting close. And we have a bit more to go. So, okay. Excellent. So flex assignments, if you remember back to when we were talking about exact path, and at the very end, I brought you into the assess and teach priority skill lessons, where you could pull that just-in-time piece of content. Flex assignments is very similar, except for we're drawing off the courseware content. Perfect. See that in the chat. So what flex assignments will allow you to do is maybe you have one piece of content that you need a student to learn. Maybe in algebra, they need some help with linear functions. You can go find that content. You can take that one snippet, so that tutorial and mastery test, and just pull that one piece of content out and assign that one piece of content to them. So it's really that just-in-time intervention or enrichment that you're looking at, or to introduce a new topic to the student as a teaser, or review something. So depending on their scores, you can pull that as well. Where that lives in the platform, I'm going to jump back over there, is right on that top black bar where we went to exact path and courseware. Flex assignments is right next to courseware. What you'll need to do is create a flex class, which it's pretty simple once you click on that to go through there, and then you'll have a class here. Once you've created your class, you'll have your students in there. You can come in here, you can look at your students, you can look at assignments, and then you can create an assignment. Creating an assignment, you just got to title it something. I'm going to call this test math assignment. I can post it or date it out in the future. So maybe we're going to start working on something on February 2nd. I don't need to put an end date if I don't want to. I can put instructions in there. This is how many attempts they get on that mastery test. I can determine that. Defaults to unlimited, but 2 or 3. And then I can determine based on my class, maybe I have every student in my program in that class. I can determine who gets that assignment. So let's pop a couple in there. They're going to be the ones that get that assignment. Then down here, I can search by subject and grade or by standard. So if I'm working, let's go language arts. I know we're working on a 11th grade skill. I can fly in there. I can find my course that I want, and I know I've got a couple more in here that are not Minnesota related. So please bear with me in that piece. So here's our Plato course 11. I can open that up. I can say, you know what, in unit one, I just need some work on maybe poetry in the age of reason. And this is a terrible example now that I'm in an English class and dropping a math class assignment there. But I can pull that just one piece of content with that tutorial and the mastery test. I can also view those if I need to preview them. And then I can create the assignment and push it out. So it's just that one piece. I don't need to add them to the full course. They just get that one piece. So flex assignments is super, super great. You don't have to do one piece. You can obviously pull in more than that if you want to pull it in there. I would caution against if you're really even looking at using like a unit of content, not using flex assignments because it can be overwhelming. I would just put them in the class and then omit the other units. I would really use flex assignments more so if you're just looking at a couple small skills to put in there. So, but a really, really great resource to give that one time piece of content for a number of different varieties there, right? That just in time, new topics, or review something that you previously taught. All right, see the question coming in there in the chat. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so every student that you put in a class, they just have to be enrolled in Edmentum. And you can determine who's in that class. So when you click into Flex Assignments, 1 second, we create a Flex class, you will see your students there. So you'll title your class. Um, let's see here. I can go in and find a group of students, and then you can add those students to that Flex class there. So if you have students there, or you can search for them. Yes, thank you, Elizabeth. Great call out in there. Thanks for the outline there too, but your flex assignment proxy hours can get a little bit wishy, I guess. It can be complicated. So just know that there's a great document in the chat if you're going to use flex assignments on how to determine proxy hours there. Okay. Last thing I'm going to show you before we jump in is we do have a pilot going with Literacy Minnesota that is Apex and Pointful. And what this is Edmentum a few years back acquired the Apex platform, if you're familiar with that. Some great content. It looks a little bit different, but both are very rigorous platforms. With Apex, we have the Pointful collection, which are CTE-based courses. Edmentum has a very large library of CTE courses as well. They actually just added, I think it's about 200 semesters worth of content in the last year and a half. So please check that out. Please check out the Pointful pieces, but I have that pulled up right here for you. It looks a little bit different. There's limited space in this. So if you're interested in seeing the Pointful content at all, please reach out to Elizabeth. I'm just going to use the Adobe Illustrator just to go in and take a look at some content for you. Same way as courseware works, you need to enroll your learners, you need to set up a classroom, and they are full classes for the 912 continuum, but work great for CTE in the ABE space. Once I click in there, you'll see that each of the units has different lessons, overviews, discussions built in, and it is brought in. So let's see there. It does just take them through different pieces, directions with some videos, some different readings, assignments that are uploaded, and we will offer some additional support if this is something that you're interested in. Where I'm going to call you to, though, to take a look at this is there's and I'm not sure if you guys have some additional documentation there within Literacy Minnesota, but if you just go to edmentum.com, and I have this linked in our resources as well, right on our homepage, you have an Explore Our Catalog option. And this is a great resource for courseware as well. If you filter down here and you have Apex courses on, and then we want to go down to filter by library, and we're just going to click on the Pointful CTE, you'll get a really nice list of what courses are offered. So you can see what those CTE offerings are. Um, Likewise, if we get off of our Pointful ones, if you go to courseware, um, you guys have access to pretty much everything in the comprehensive library. So you can take a look and don't forget to filter this to Minnesota. Otherwise, we're going to see classes. I see an Alabama class right there. So you can go ahead and take a look at this. Yeah, and I see in the chat. Thanks, Elizabeth, for popping that in there. The additional resources to look at Pointful courses. Okay. So that is the brief overview. A lot of an overview. As I mentioned, these are not necessarily meant to be the full training on these platforms, but an overview of what they are. And I think the meat and potatoes of this presentation might be what's coming up next. After contact hours, we do have different reports that will help you find that. I know we also have documentation to help with contact hours and how to garner those as well. But as I mentioned, kind of applying this back to our scenarios of different students. And thank you to the team that helped put these together so we can look at them. And by all means, at the beginning of our session too, I had said, if you have specific situations, please omit any personally identifiable information and pop it in the chat if there's a situation where you're going, how could I maybe use these programs to best meet the needs of my learners? And we'll get to that too. So our first scenario, Shannon recently moved to Minnesota from another state. She had started preparing for the HiSET exam in the other state and wishes to continue studying for HiSET, not the GED or an adult diploma. So with this one, and I did not mention HiSET much, but I'm going to click back over here to courseware. And in courseware, I'm just going to take us to the course catalog where I said you could explore. And in there, you will find, if you type in HiSET, that you have access to different courses that are specifically designed for HiSET in all of the core subject areas. These come with a pre-test as well. I don't know, I'm linking, I'm linking a little goofy here. No, hold on one second. And so with those courses, they do have a pretest. And so I would encourage you to click into those and take a look at the content and see where best fits the learner's need in that situation. So core content, HiSET area. All right. Next scenario. Susie is working towards her GED. She is likely to pass the math test, but she struggles with reading comprehension. So we have a couple different pieces there that might be of use. I'll start where we left off with the HiSET. Just like HiSET, we have our GED preparatory courses in courseware that we could look at. But knowing that there's some struggle in skill level for reading and math, I would also point you to ExactPath to do that diagnostic if you don't have the diagnostic data and identify where that, I believe it was Susie, is needing that support based on that diagnostic, and then have her do some of the work in the learning path to bring that up to speed. And from there, if we're feeling like we've got the skill that we need, maybe utilizing that GED course and courseware in conjunction, side by side, or after the fact, after we do that skill remediation, depending on where your student is at. So some really nice ways to use those two platforms side by side. All right, our next scenario is Lamar graduated from high school several years ago and is an assistant manager at a chain restaurant. He wants to attend college to become better prepared to open his own business. However, his reading and math scores will place him in developmental education courses, which he hopes to avoid. I'm reading this and seeing a number of different pieces coming out where you could serve this learner. Um, the first one is I would point you to exact path, right? The reading and math scores to get him to raise those skills and become more proficient in the areas of reading and math. You may also use courseware to do some pieces. I'm just looking here. So reading and math, I automatically skill remediation, my mind goes to exact path. But in courseware, if I go back to our course catalog, I want to highlight some courses here. So we have these courses and they're called Accelerate 2 courses. So Accelerate 2, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, and they're available in all core courses. So English 10 is a great example, actually, because I see English 9 there. So Accelerate to English 10 is what skills do I need to have to be successful in English 10? So we could use this course, and what you have here is not a unit structure. When we come into these Accelerate 2 courses, we have a pretest with all the essential skills needed for English 10, which might opt them out. So if you're noticing there's a specific level of English or math that you already have identified, you could come into the equivalent course and give them a pretest in the reading or math um, if exact path is maybe not the best fit there. So there are some options in both of those programs to look at when you look at a situation there. The other thing that I am pulling out of this example and scenario from Lamar is that he's got some real interest in business. So, all right, the reading and math is important to get him there, but our course catalog, when we go and we put in business, oh, you'll see just the amount of business options there are in our CTE catalog. So that might be really, really a great piece. Yes, and Elizabeth, I see there too. He might be interested in some more general college and career readiness, specifically business entrepreneur. Absolutely. So use these to expand that. Tap into your learner interest. There's so many courses that can guide them and get them prepared for and really hone in not only on interest, but if we're exploring and pursuing getting ready for owning our own business, maybe a line within the business field of whether it's entrepreneurship or business management, and using these courses to guide that student so they're not struggling to make those decisions when they get to the college level. Great. All right, our next example is Rosa. Rosa's a high intermediate English learner. She attended college and worked as a nurse in her home country. She wants to explore options in healthcare careers in Minnesota and begin learning medical terms in English. So we have a robust health sciences catalog within our CTE catalog. I just want to go health. So you'll see, just putting in health, you're going to see some allied health careers, exploring the health sciences, which will definitely give some exposure to what Rosa is looking for with just learning some of the terminology in English, right? Remember, all of our vocab is hyperlinked with definitions there, as well as the translatable piece to see comparisons between English and home language is an option. The other piece that I pulled out with Rosa is that she may need some additional support. All right. Maybe it's just that language acquisition piece. And I'll pull these courses out just because I know that this might be of some interest. As I put in ELL, and Rosa, from her description, is probably higher than these. You do have some foundations courses there in ELL that might support some language acquisition pieces too. So really, what I love about these scenarios is not only highlighting how to use the platforms, but some of the resources that are there that you may or may not see if you didn't know these courses are there. So be curious in some of these. Yeah. Uh, some teachers use Edmentum for teas prepped as well. Yeah. And I think that's a huge piece. I'll click over to there and we'll do that as well. We have those courses for teas. So great. I think we have this is our last scenario, and then I'll open it up. And I know we're down to 9 minutes here. So, Mikey is enrolled in an IT career training program offered by a local nonprofit org. Uh, he has solid digital literacy and customer service skills, but he's struggling with the level of professional reading, writing, and quantitative reasoning needed to complete the training and be successful in an IT career. So I think what I would think about with him is potentially using a diagnostic to see, where's our reading level at, and if there's some skill gap there that we could look at, and that diagnostic and exact path as well. It would be where I would start. So in the area of reading, to give them the diagnostics to see when I compare against, I'm going in that knowledge map, this K-12 learner progression, if there's some gaps that might we might be able to help fill in to support his learning of the IT pieces. The other piece, similar to our example in our scenario with Rosa, is I'm going to click back over to courseware. We have a plethora of IT courses. And so jumping in our course catalog, um, information technology. There's a ton of it there if you click in there. So information technology applications, different pieces that you could pull out. This is a really good place to look if you know the course title in the course catalog. I'm just going to give you a reminder. I pulled up to edmentum.com and you can sort here. A little bit easier. So if you were just looking for career and technical, you could narrow that down and you can print a PDF or a list of it or a full list with these descriptions there. So this might be a nice place to go if you're just saying, do you have a course in that area? To look at it and then come back to our course catalog and type in the title, because here you can click on it and you can go in and you can actually click and see the content if you wanted to jump in and see what the specific content was for that course without launching it. So okay, well, that is, I think, where we end with our scenarios. We'll get these resources out, but the quick reference handouts for exact path and courseware. If you're interested after reviewing the course catalog for those Pointful courses as well, please reach out to Elizabeth, and we can get those, get you signed up for interest in that pilot. And with that, I will open it up. If you had any specific scenarios you want me to cover, and see if there's resources that we could connect you with, um, or questions that we can answer in the last couple minutes here, that is where we're going to end with new information outside of answering your questions today. So thank you for being a part of our session today, and wish you the best. Please reach out if you do have questions that come up as well after the fact.